Only 2 hours were left. Donald Trump was about to wipe Iran off the face of this universe. First, Donald Trump threatened Iran, then he resorted to insults, demanding that they open Hormuz, and finally he even talked about ending Iran's civilization. People thought that now only nuclear bombs would rain down because Donald Trump had talked about raining fire on Iran. Everyone felt that Iran's game was about to be over. Even their 10-point peace proposal seemed pointless. Trump had rejected it. Netanyahu was enjoying himself sitting there in Israel. America was doing Israel's work for free, destroying Iran. Israel's Channel 13 even put up a countdown clock on live television saying, "Watch, this is how Iran will be destroyed now." Meanwhile, Iranians formed a human chain, standing on their power plants and bridges saying, "Come, drop bombs on us." If we talk about oil, it went above $100 per barrel. Global markets went into free fall, and just 2 hours before the countdown was about to end, a ceasefire was announced. Now, no one was expecting this ceasefire. But for 2 weeks, Donald Trump has agreed to a ceasefire. And in this, one side's demands have actually been considered. But the interesting thing is, that side is not America. That side is Iran. Iran's demands, their 10 points, have been accepted. And that's why we're saying that in less than 40 days, we've seen global geopolitics change. We've seen the world order change. The changes that hadn't happened in 60 or 70 years, we're now witnessing here. Obviously, as soon as the news of the ceasefire broke, markets around the world surged with excitement. If we talk about the Sensex, it was up by about 4%, and Iran called it a humiliation for America. Their state television openly mocked Donald Trump and America. But there was also news about how China changed the game from behind the scenes. Finally, China intervened and told Iran to lower its demands and agree to the ceasefire. And as far as the art of the deal is concerned, people in America are asking what America actually gained from this. What did Donald Trump get out of it? And perhaps that's why they are quite unhappy as well. There is even talk of a change in power. No, not in Iran. Right now, there is talk of impeaching Donald Trump in America. So who actually won this war? Did Iran win? Did Russia win? Did China win? We'll talk about that as well. But first, how did Trump, who was once so formidable, end up surrendering like this? On Truth Social, Donald Trump initially wrote that Iran can now start its reconstruction process. We will also supply goods from there, and everyone will just keep roaming around there. We'll see if everything is happening just as we said it would. This could be the golden age of the Middle East. Brother, until yesterday you were talking about ending civilization, and today you're talking about ushering in a golden age. You just can't trust this man, but the biggest question was the nuclear question, the very reason, the very excuse on which this entire war was waged. Trump first said that it's a total and complete victory for America, and as far as nuclear material is concerned, all of that would be taken care of. Hey, if that wasn't the case, I wouldn't have signed this deal. But then, Donald Trump also expressed his full agreement with this particular move and went so far as to post a message on Twitter stating that he accepts Iran's 10-point peace proposal, which notably does not include any form of formal nuclear understanding. Let's understand those 10 points. What does Iran get in this entire peace deal, in this ceasefire? Number 1, America will give a binding guarantee and its allies, for example Israel, that they will not strike Iran. Consider this a non-aggression pact. Number 2, a permanent end to hostilities. This will not be a temporary ceasefire. Here the discussion is about a permanent end to hostilities. Number 3, Israel will not strike Hezbollah or Lebanon either. This is a critical point. Remember the issue of Lebanon. We'll come back to this in a moment. Number 4, the US will lift all sanctions. Not just nuclear sanctions, but all sanctions that have literally crippled Iran for so many years will be removed. Number 5, protection for Iran's regional proxies, whether it's Hezbollah or the Houthis, they will also receive protection, and in exchange, the Strait of Hormuz will be opened. But it will be opened under Iran's conditions. For each ship that transits, a fee of $2 million will be charged, which will be split with Oman. And the amount that Iran receives will be used for its reconstruction. Iran's state TV broadcasted this entire list. They called it a battlefield achievement. People are celebrating in Tehran. There are celebrations in Baghdad as well, with people saying that America has admitted defeat. Now, there is a 2-week pause. Negotiations are about to begin in Islamabad. Israel is quite unhappy. They initially said, no, we were told that nuclear material would be removed from Iran. Iran's ballistic missile capability will be reduced. But in what America is presenting to the world as acceptance, there is no mention of ballistics nor of uranium enrichment. So obviously in Israel, this is being seen as America's surrender. Now, Israel will try to sabotage this deal, People have already started warning about this. Iran has 450 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium. The IAEA confirmed this earlier this year, and with that amount, 9 to 11 nuclear weapons could be made, at least in theory. There is no provision in the ceasefire agreement for nuclear inspections, no IAEA access, no freezing of enrichment, no safeguard mechanism, nor is there any clause that Iran will hand over its nuclear material to America or anyone else. There is nothing of the sort. Iran's own 10-point proposal that was given to America states that Iran also has the sovereign right to enrichment. That's why this cannot be called a total victory for America. But it can certainly be called a surrender for America. The Trump administration had sent its 15-point peace plan to Iran through Pakistani mediators. In that, some of America's key demands were that you will open the Strait of Hormuz unconditionally, eliminate your entire nuclear program, destroy your nuclear facilities, severely restrict your ballistic missile capabilities, and you will not support your proxy network. Iran refused to fulfill even a single one of these conditions, and yet a ceasefire was reached from here. So now let's see what America actually got. The Strait of Hormuz has been partially opened for 2 weeks. But this is subject to Iran's permission. It will be done through Iran's armed forces. Iran still controls the Strait of Hormuz. Regarding the nuclear program, Iran is saying that their enrichment will continue while telling Israel that no, there will be no enrichment. But this matter remains unresolved. America is speaking in two languages here. The biggest problem that is going to arise in this peace process will be over this nuclear question. There has been no discussion about ballistic missiles. Even on Iran's 10 points, those too remain unresolved. If we talk about the proxy network, Iran is clearly saying that you will protect Hezbollah. You will not attack Hezbollah. There is going to be a clash with Israel over this issue. And all of this at what cost? It is being said that America has blown through $30 billion in just 5 weeks. 13 American soldiers are dead and around 400 are injured. This is the official figure. Unofficially, the numbers could be even higher. Oil prices have increased by 50 to 60%. Brent crude went above $100 per barrel. In America, gas prices have reached $5 per gallon, which is double what they were before the war started. Perhaps that's why even Trump has changed his mind a little. And if we talk about bases, in Qatar, in Jordan, all their bases, all their radars, so many of their planes, their entire military strategy and depth have been degraded. So that's what America has lost. Now let's see what Iran has gained that it didn't have before the war. If we talk about the Strait of Hormuz, brother, if it returns to its regular traffic from tomorrow, then 135 ships will pass through here every day. Now, even America has accepted that, brother, there will be a toll. Now, with 135 ships over 14 days, let's just talk about 2 weeks. 135 times 14 days. So you get a figure of about 1,900 ships that will pass through the Strait of Hormuz in the next 14 days, struggling to make their way through. Iran will say, 2 million, come on, pay up, pay the toll, which we will split with Oman. Even after splitting with Oman, Iran is going to get about $2 billion within the next 14 days. And if this continues, meaning permanently, then Iran will start getting $50 billion a year. That's a lot of money to invest in its ballistic and nuclear projects. What a masterstroke he's played. He gave so much money to Iran, which they hadn't been getting until now. But the fact still remains that Trump understands one thing. He understands money. He understands business. So then why did he accept this defeat? One major reason that's coming to light is how America tried to carry out a ground invasion secretly. The pilot who was rescued, that wasn't the entire rescue mission. That pilot was just one part of this mission, which ended up failing, which was foiled, and then this whole story was spun that all these soldiers were sent just to rescue a single pilot. Somewhere, Trump understood that Netanyahu had sold him a big promise, sold him a dream, and that's why he would now have to back out from here. But the question still remains, will Israel allow this deal to happen? Will Israel allow peace to happen? Perhaps even more than America, Israel is shaken by this ceasefire, and we'll talk about that. But first, let's see who the real winner is. At the top of the list of winners is Iran itself. They had endured more than a month of bombing by America and Israel. They had completely lost their senior leadership. Their critical infrastructure, their universities, their schools had all been destroyed. A significant amount of civilian property, even highways and bridges, had been destroyed. Yet even then, in these ceasefire negotiations, they did not come as a defeated party, but as a winning party, and they negotiated on their own terms. This is quite commendable, and they didn't think, oh, this is such a powerful country, how will I negotiate with them? They said, I will not back down even an inch. Even today, they still control Hormuz. Their control has expanded even further, and now there is talk of lifting the sanctions as well. Even if they don't get reparations from America, the money from Hormuz will come to them. When money comes in to rebuild their country, their image, their military, and their regime, no matter how cruel it may be, are all becoming even more powerful. So this move has completely backfired on America. Secondly, we say that the real winner, even more so, is China. China and Russia. They vetoed the UN Security Council resolution. There was an attempt to move a resolution. Bahrain had moved it, urging the whole world to try to restart commercial shipping in the Hormuz. They wanted joint action to be taken against Iran. But although 11 countries voted in favor, China and Russia vetoed it. So in a way, China and Russia are seen here backing and supporting Iran from behind the scenes. If you translate this into Hindi, it means that China protected its own interests. It protected all that oil it was getting for free or at a very cheap price. By secretly supplying weapons, China is quietly establishing its dominance in the Middle East through its regional projection, and now, even in diplomatic circles, China is being praised. Because it is being said that this deal, which happened at the 11th hour, was made possible because of China. Pakistan is just the front, but the real negotiations were conducted by China. You will see how, gradually, countries will start buying oil in yuan at Hormuz, which will bypass the dollar. In this campaign, this war is quite important. China will further support UN-backed oil purchases. This will impact the petrodollar. America has now understood this. Meanwhile, Russia was also taking its revenge. Who was supplying all the critical information about where America's planes and soldiers are, and in what condition? Russia was supplying it, taking its revenge. When the USA supported Ukraine, Russia supported Iran there. This was a major global game. A proxy war was going on, so Russia also got a chance for revenge. And when the sanctions were lifted for oil, they too doubled their oil exports within a month. Now let's come to the critical question: how many hours, how many days, how many weeks will this ceasefire last? And in this, Israel will play a critical role. Just think about it. Kent, the former director of the United States National Counterterrorism Center, who resigned because of this war, is now warning his fellow citizens against Israel.
In order to ensure that we can restrain the Israelis, we actually have to start removing features of the military support that we give to them. We have to take away enough from them that they simply cannot go on the offense, that they're using all their military capabilities that we provide for them.
Just think, the situation has reached a point where a senior American official now has to say that America will have to remove its tools and weapons from Israel, otherwise Israel will not be brought under control. Israel's goals are completely different. It will not listen to America. By the way, what are Israel's goals? We have already explained the concept of Greater Israel to you in detail. Watch that episode and then you'll understand why Israel is currently so busy sabotaging this deal. Meanwhile, the whole world is also beginning to understand the reality of Israel. America is starting to understand it too. Pew Research says that 60% of American adults now hold an unfavorable view of Israel. Because the way Israel has committed genocide, the way it has acted with brutality, the truth of all this is now becoming visible to everyone. Over there in Israel, a kind of regime change program has already started on its own. The former Israeli Prime Minister wrote on Twitter that never in our country's history has there been such a political disaster where Israel wasn't even at the negotiating table. The entire decision was made. Trump did everything, and we didn't even know until the last moment. It's actually quite shameful because from the news that's coming in, it seems that Israel, along with the rest of the world, only found out that America was about to call a ceasefire in this war. Just think, America's loyal partner in this war, as they're called, didn't even know themselves that a ceasefire was about to happen. And Fox News and other American publications are saying that they are extremely upset with this deal, this ceasefire, and these details. Just imagine, Netanyahu's office was so shocked that it took them 4 hours to react to the ceasefire announcement, and when they did react, they did it in English, not in Hebrew. He gave a reaction for the whole world. Netanyahu is now in no position to show his face in his own country. He had made such big promises, but he told the whole world that yes, we are in favor of this ceasefire, but we are not in favor of a ceasefire in Lebanon. And this is quite critical because the 10-point peace plan which Trump has agreed to, he has publicly agreed to it in front of the whole world, also calls for stopping attacks on Lebanon. But Netanyahu has made it clear that while we do support the ceasefire, the attacks on Lebanon will not stop. So, within a few hours, perhaps even by the time you are watching this episode, the ceasefire may already have been broken. And the biggest test will be whether Israel will listen to America regarding the Lebanon issue or not. Now, at some point, even the Americans will have to consider whether we are helping you or have we just become your puppets. We have repeatedly said that America now needs to understand that the entire project is completely different for Israel. Israel wants to establish its complete dominance up to the Litani River. It wants to occupy that area. Hezbollah is just an excuse. Occupation is the real target. But now, how long will America keep thinking that Israel will just do whatever it wants? All the politicians are in our pocket, and America has been made the 51st state of Israel. So we need to keep an eye on Israel's reaction and what Israel does next. Just think, the chairman of the National Security Committee tweeted, writing, "Donald, you came out looking like a duck." Such a senior officer, he just couldn't control his anger. This tweet has now been deleted, but you can understand just how much of a meltdown is happening in Israel right now. The meltdown isn't happening only in Israel. You'll find plenty of Israel's devotees in our own country as well. You'll find plenty of their loyal followers in our country as well. They're also having a massive meltdown because the names of the Pakistani Prime Minister and Army Chief Asim Munir have been mentioned as primary channels between Washington and Tehran. Both Trump and Iran have thanked them, saying that they played a key role in making this agreement happen. Now, another point is that actually China played a crucial role in this. JD Vance was also working behind the scenes, but at least on the front, Pakistan managed to shine its name a bit for its diplomacy. Forbes also reported on how Pakistan was used as a front in this matter. The tweets from the Pakistani Prime Minister were already being formatted somewhere else, in another country. He was just tweeting them out. Now, even if this isn't a genuine diplomatic action, Pakistan has still gotten an opportunity to improve its image to some extent. They've gotten a chance to present themselves as a diplomatic state instead of a terror state. So what does Pakistan gain from this? A seat at international talks to position themselves as a potential mediating power. If we can facilitate talks between two nuclear-armed adversaries, then that does give us some strategic relevance. You had become an irrelevant country that no one took seriously. You used to stand before the IMF with a begging bowl just for economic relief. But today, diplomatically, you have managed to shine a little. Now, if we talk about India, it was being said that since this isn't our war, we'll only look after our own interests, and we have quite a few interests. India's LPG, our LNG, our crude oil, export routes, all of these things were being impacted here. But we quietly coordinated the passage of our ships with Iran. We quietly tried to get our goods out from there. This wasn't our war, so we won't get involved. That's a good thing. You don't get involved, you stay non-aligned. But this same country, this same government was shouting just a year ago. Jaishankarji used to say that Ukraine and Russia, Iran and Israel, which country is there that can talk to all these countries, that can mediate? Only India can do that. Today, when that same Jai Shankar was asked, brother, Pakistan is playing a mediation role, what are you doing? His response was, we are not a broker country like Pakistan. Now you don't want to talk. If you only want to look out for your own interests, then go ahead. But this shows the kind of language being used, and that too by a foreign external affairs minister, a career diplomat. The language reflects your insecurity and your pettiness. Now the question is, how many hours, how many days, how many weeks this ceasefire will last? Because where Israel is concerned, you can't trust anything. Where Trump is involved, you can't trust anything either. Yes, but Trump has approved this deal. I'm a bit concerned about Trump's security, that he should be careful of Mossad.